Raya and the Last Dragon came out. I think that's supposed to be mostly what to talk about. Minions 2 got pushed back another year, and Fast and Furious 9 got pushed back like a month, or a month and a bit, or just a month, or 2 months, something like that. And I look at this and I go, looking at it's just Hollywood realigning the playing board, I guess. Tom and Jerry also came out last week, and apparently I think it did like $13 million in cinemas in America, which is like the best opening, and I think it's the most positive reopening one can simply hope for since the opening of I I honestly don't. The Invisible Man was an optimist. I was really happy with that opening, and that was over a year ago. Actually, it was pretty much a year ago. Ever since then, it's been a sad decline of films. Sorry, not films. Of box office returns. Tenet tried to recoup some. Unhinged, the New Mutants, The Croods 2, Wonder Woman 1984. They all tried to accrue some box office money, and I can only say overall looking at Tom and Jerry's numbers of $13 million is a very, very positive response in the box office to a new film. Like, it is a number that should give people hope that it's a number that should give people hope regarding whether they will get huge, large blockbusters coming out this year. I mean, if you were to look at it like this, right, I would imagine that all the Warner Brothers films, they're locked in, right? They're locked in. They're coming out on HBO Max. They're coming out in cinemas on the same day. They would only not come out for that on that time, on those days, if something were to happen in its production, which for most of the films, they got pushed back a year already, so they would all be completed. They like, In the Heights, I imagine that's going to come out no problem. Godzilla versus Kong, I imagine that's going to come out no problem. They're just Mortal Kombat, no problem. Matrix 4, maybe that might get pushed back a little bit, but it's just looking at films like that are just they're coming out, and I look at the safety plan, the safety net that's been established, and they're going to be okay with that. I think Paramount Plus just announced that they were going to release all their films 45 days after a theatrical window, meaning like Mission Impossible 7 in November, 45 days will be on streaming, which is going to be like mid-January next year it'll be on streaming, which to me is a crazy thought. I think, just going back to Tom and Jerry, it is the best response that you will have for the box office in hoping that films get released. Now, we did see Minions get pushed back a whole year, which I think is... I don't know what to take from it, because dominoes have to fall before you can start setting up the next ones. And I would assume that from a creative perspective, you'd probably want Fast and Furious to come out before you'd want Minions to come out. And it's not more or less like, this is just purely from a creative perspective, if you wanted to get the ball rolling on the business. In the fact that you have Fast and Furious 10 already announced and greenlit, and they're working on it, and you don't have Minions 3 announced. Now, whilst both films are more than likely going to make $1 billion in a regular, healthy box office, the environment is not simply there for that. And if they are to entice people to come out to the cinemas to see their movies, I think you have to start throwing some big things at the wall to see what the appetite is. And it looks like the first one that's going to fly at the wall will be Raya and the Last Dragon. It is, Disney's. It's a Disney animation film. It's an adventure action movie. It's a Disney princess movie. Looks like it's kind of adding up to be. It looks like it's going to be something worth keeping an eye on and watching. To see where the money lands on that, to see if anything positive will come out of that, and it's good. It's definitely adding up. I've got hope for it, but also if it does well on Disney Plus and does reasonable in cinemas, let's say it makes something like 13 million again, I think we could be potentially looking at Black Widow getting a release in late April, both in cinemas and on Disney Plus. I think that may have to be the norm for films wanting to be released. If it's not going to be Black Widow, you got Godzilla versus Kong, right? And that gets HBO. But I kind of want to null and void all Warner Brothers films because we all know they're there because HBO Max is there. And I think if it's not Raya and the Last Dragon, the next film that will go out that is a big studio blockbuster film will be Free Guy, Ryan Reynolds' movie. Because it's a 20th Century Fox movie and Disney does not give a shit about its 20th Century Fox properties. They do not care. I think Free Guy will be the next film out if Raya goes down, isn't received well. Besides that, in between that, you got Godzilla vs. Kong and Mortal Kombat. There's a film every 2 or 3 weeks. You got Falcon and the Winter Soldier on at home. You got the Mighty Ducks show on. You got a whole lot of things you can watch. Personally would not be upset if they had to push back everything another year. It would bum me out. It would make me sad. I guess I just undid myself there, but it's like not something that I'd be like stressing and freaking out. I'm like, no, they moved back everything another year. And whilst that would be heartbreaking, you have to look at it like this, right? Almost every film that's been pushed back is completed. Like, Black Widow is completed. It got pushed back like a month and a bit before it was released. Eternals would be close to completed. Shang-Chi would be probably completed by now. If not close to completed, because it was supposed to come out in February, and I imagine the schedule may have moved leniently, but they may not. It's probably close to completed. Minions 2 would be done. Fast and Furious would be done. Like, there are movies that are just done. And they're waiting. And they're sitting there, waiting to be released and seen by the public. And I think the idea of pushing them back to wait for a better time, sure, that you can say that's a good thing for public health. Not enticing people to go to the cinemas to go see a movie is a good decision, and particularly so in America, it probably is. But they just opened up New York cinemas for like the first time in a year. New Yorkers are going to go back to the cinemas. And you know what? I think it's just going to open up the floodgates and films are going to start making, bit by bit, just a little bit of money. I mean, like, in comparison to blockbusters, they're not going to be making money. They're going to be losing money. But you're going to be seeing just a little bit of box office go up every month or so. The next blockbuster might make a little bit more. Because I think it's just, you're at a point where you're just going to start throwing everything at the wall, seeing what sticks and hoping it sticks. Like, I think the success of Raya and the Last Dragon is important to the industry because I think it shows which way Disney will go for the year. Because their next film is Black Widow, I'm pretty sure. They don't have a film in between. After Raya comes out, which it already has, they'll probably do another 1 or 2 weeks on Raya, and then you'll start figuring out what happens to Black Widow, which they say they're going to be committed to a cinema release. And I thought it was crazy last year, people saying that, oh, they'll go for a Disney Plus release. But I look at it now and I go, you can definitely do just a Disney Plus release, like, a studio release. And I feel like for Marvel, at a point, Marvel in particular, it might just get to a point where it's important where you just have to release it. Like, if you think about it correctly, they've got 4 films coming out this year. You've got Black Widow, Shang-Chi, The Eternals, and Spider-Man Not From Home, Far From Home, No Way Home, Spider-Man No Way Home. You have those 4 Marvel movies, plus you had WandaVision coming out, then you got Falcon and Winter Soldier, you got What If, you got Loki, you got Hawkeye, and you got Ms. Marvel. There is so much coming out that to sort of like push one thing back is to push them all back. And then you got to back up into next year, and Thor Love and Thunder is filming, and Guardians 3 will be filming soon. And there's Black Panther 2 coming out soon, and Captain Marvel 2 coming out soon. Like, you just start pushing things back further and further, and What are you to do with stuff like that?